So when did you start at Covestor?
Yeah, 2006, in about sort of April, May, that kind of time was when we got going.
And that was when the product started? I thought it was a little older than that.
No, that was when it started. It started. So we really, at that point, the worlds were converging in sort of 3 or 4 places. So number one, people were much more willing and open to share stuff publicly online, which obviously was important. The individual investor increasingly has, as you know, access to much the same tools and the research and the same transaction costs, importantly, as the so-called pros. So the level playing field of being an individual investor like you with your great machines behind you, is pretty much, you have much the same kind of expertise and tools, and there's only so much capacity that you have to do the hard work. And in the institutional world, the world had been going this way, and so that was when we started out. It's about 2006.
So tell our viewers again, because the world is. I mean, you and I again. I'm out here in Bend, Oregon. You're in New York City via London, and you're on both continents. What does this product do for the? And again, I don't see it just. And we've talked a little bit about this. It's not just the individual investor, but even the big money is looking for good ideas and good managers of money. So,
right.
How would I, look at, how would you explain Covestor to somebody who hasn't seen the site and been to the site?
So essentially, what we set out to do is to really deinstitutionalize money management. So to let you invest your money directly alongside any brilliant self-directed or professional investor, rather than put your money in an expensive managed fund. So today, if you have You kind of have 2 choices. Either you manage your own money and you pick the stocks and shares yourself or whatever, or if you want managed money, you either buy a mutual fund that is an instrument, created in the 20s. Everyone knows they're very expensive to set up and manage, so they have high fees and they're complex and they underperform. Or you go to a broker who's often the guy that you happen to know or lives around the corner or your dad plays golf with. But at the moment, you have no real other alternative to having your money managed. And so what we're allowing you to do is to, rather than put your money in one of 80,000 odd professionally managed funds that the guy doesn't have his own money in and, just sits in a big office and drives a fast car, we kind of created like almost an open source hedge fund. Why can't I invest alongside anybody doing that hard work? And that's what we're trying to do. And
I love the idea because, as a guy who's managed other people's monies and tried to be, in a hedge fund, and you have full transparency. And again, there's huge costs for somebody to set up a hedge fund. Huge, as you said, mutual funds, of course. And I agree with you. If that investor or trader is not involved, doesn't have his money, involved in it, then what's the point? You watch, and I think the business is changing greatly, and I think you're in a sweet spot here because, watching CNBC, you've got all these talking heads and analysts that come on, and most of them aren't side by side with you in their recommendations. They're basically blind recommendations.
That's it, and that was the big step change in a funny way with the world when we started out 2 or 3 years ago. Was there's a big difference between people, what you say you're doing and what you're actually doing. There's lots of places on the web where you can go and see what people's claims and picks and tips and what they say they're doing, but actually they have no other way of verifying that what they say they're doing is what they're really doing, or of leveraging the hard work that they're doing.
So how are some of the ways that you verify for people that are coming to look at people? I know you're tied in with a few brokers.
Yeah, so we when we started out sort of 3 years ago, we launched Covestor.com, which is a site where tens of thousands of investors, both professionals and individuals, essentially connect up their brokerage account, and we support all of the major brokers in the US. In fact, we support brokers internationally, but you connect up your account, and we build you a real sort of verified track record of your real investment activity. So we create a direct feed from your broker from which we give you an institutional grade track record, like a Morningstar style tear sheet to show your performance and your beta and your alpha and your sharp and all of those various metrics. And then other people can come and say, hey, I think Matt looks like a great investor, and I want to follow him. And the way Covestor.com works and worked is, if I wanted to follow you, I get notified every time you execute a trade, and it's up to me whether or not I want to replicate that in.
Okay, so as an investor, I'm not automatically. All my trades aren't tied to your trades. If they're your trades, Perry, and I'm following you, I get a ping that says, "Hey, Matt just bought Microsoft $28," and
exactly. And then that was the first iteration of what we did. So when we started out, and it's still there, tens of thousands of people just sharing what they're doing with you, and we never disclose. The important thing for you, Matt, is as the lead investor, we don't disclose your net worth or how much money you've put into it, because that's the one thing you feel, you don't necessarily want the world to know. So
right.
If I'm following you, I select a nominal amount with which I want to follow your portfolio, and it tells me what your trades would mean for me in a portfolio of that size. So I get notified every time you trade, and it essentially says, I want to follow you in a portfolio with $5,000, buy 50 Google following Matt. So it used to be, and it still is, tens of thousands of people I can follow for free and see what they're really doing. And it's a bit like a big nudist camp. It's like we all get naked and, we'll show you what we're up to. And, some people are more attractive than others.
Well, but I love the transparency. I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so that's it. And people are, we were amazed by, in the early days, and we still are, by the quality of the people that are willing to share. I mean, our average portfolio size on Covest.com of people sharing is about $170,000. I mean, these are proper investors, and as you know, people started doing the hard work, taking the time, really putting in the effort, and then we rank them on 150 odd dimensions, and these are people who are really, being very open with what they're doing, and they're also, as well as building a track record, they're building a following and getting feedback on what they're doing from other people. So
you're not sharing assets under management necessarily. What if the investor wants that disclosed? Hey, I'm managing $20 million just to get it. So the potential investor knows what the scale could be. Scale's always an issue when it comes to investing. Something on a real small scale may not work the same if I have millions of dollars.
Yeah, we have a set of indicators. So you on your own profile tell people in bands whether you're a small, a medium, or a large investor. So we have over $1 million or between $1 million, and we have bands, but we don't tell people exactly how much you're managing or in any individual trade.
Okay.
But also you lay out in your own profile what you want to share. So it's really up to you if you want to tell people your style, your investor type, all of that other information, your size. That's really up to you what you want to disclose, and then you share.
And the number that's disclosed from the broker, is it absolute? So it includes transaction costs?
Is the number the performance is net of the transaction costs.
Okay.
So yes, I mean it's all taken into account. It's exactly. Our operations guy came from GAM, which is a big fund of funds. Before that, he ran ops at Goldman, as it happens, and the job at GAM was to do the accurate performance reporting for, say, 500 odd sort of synchronous funds every night, and that's essentially what we do for tens of thousands of portfolios, is give you sort of accurate performance reporting.
Okay, so you're going on 4 years of being in business. How do you make your money? How do you make your money?
So about 3 months ago now, we launched the investment management business. So we are now, we're a registered investment advisor, and essentially we're trying to do now to wealth management what the discount brokers did to the full service retail brokers. So today, if you went to a big wealth management firm, if you had hundreds of millions of dollars to invest, Matt, which you may well do, but if you did, you go to a big wealth management firm, and they'd open for you basically a separately managed account. So the way that the wealthy world has gone is if you had over $250,000, you would open an account, you put your money in that account, and professional managers would actively trade in that account on your behalf.
Right. So
you're sort of paying for the talent, but you get the safety and security of a managed account and of owning the securities. Well, about 3 months ago, we launched exactly that as an open platform to any retail investor. So if you go to Covest Investment Management, cb.im, we have a platform where you open a single managed account, and you can choose from all the managers, the people that are managing models on the platform, and we auto-trade those for you in your managed account. So
if I am an RIA and interested in your platform, I'd go and you're an RIA, you said already. So
yeah,
your customers are similar.
Direct to consumers. So we're going direct to consumers. So you today, as a regular individual investor, if you want to take control back over your money rather than buying a mutual fund, you come to our investment management business. You open an account. We give you all of the information on the individuals who are available for replication. So exactly as you say, let's say you were managing a model on the platform, Matt. We'd say, here's Matt, here's how he's doing. And I can say, I want to put $10,000 behind Matt, and we auto-trade what you're doing for the clients in a managed account.
So who does the actual trading? You do at Covest?
We do. We manage all of the trading. So we have both sides. So we have, as I say, managers come, we recruit managers from Covest.com to manage models on the investment management side. And then if it's a client, you come along, you open a single account, and you can choose who you want to follow and with how much money, and we auto-trade that for you. So we're, for the client's RIA, with all of the suitability responsibilities to a client, but we'll trade all of the models that you want to follow in your account.